All right. Well, here's another note from me. Another bit of advice. Let me tell you just a tiny bit about myself. I was born and raised in the South Bronx. Actually, I was born in Mount Sinai Hospital in Manhattan, 1960. My mother and father, both Puerto Rican. I was raised in poverty. I mean, we were poor. My father left when I was 2. He decided to cut out, left with my mother's best friend. My mother still says she was really a good friend because she really don't like my father. But anyway, so I was raised on welfare, food stamps. At 14 years old, my mother tried to commit suicide and sent me to live in Virginia, actually, before she tried it. I lived in a drug rehab house, even though I never tried drugs. Still to this day, never been high. I don't drink. I've never been drunk. But she sent me to live in Virginia. And, you know, I was poor my whole life. Now, just before I graduated from high school, I was barely making it by. I got my girlfriend pregnant. She was 16, I was 18. And, you know, I went down to the Army recruiting office and I said, I guess I got to join the Army. And then I went back to her and I told her, hey, listen, I joined the Army. Will you marry me? And she said no. And I said, wait a minute, I joined the Army. She didn't care. Well, long story short, I came back from basic training. I was a good-looking man. And she fell in love with me and we got married. My 1979 was a real busy year. It went from, I graduated from high school in June. I went into the Army in July. My daughter was born in November and I got married December that same year. And I turned 19 in November. And my wife turned 17 in November. So a really busy year. But here's my point. I was a Puerto Rican from the South Bronx, raised up in just horrible neighborhoods and without parents, and I made mistakes. I mean, I got my 16-year-old girlfriend knocked up. That ain't no excuse for failure, man. You see, what that gives you is an amazing possibility to make something out of your life, to say, okay, I'm going to be a great comeback story. I'm not rich. I'm doing okay, but I'm not rich. I'm not wealthy or nothing like that. I don't live in a mansion. I live in a $500,000 home. And I drive a $50,000 car. But that's not what makes me wealthy. What makes me wealthy is that I'm still married to that same young lady 33 years later. That my father and mother have both looked at me and said that they were proud of me. I was 48 when my father first told me that. Look, this life, you get one shot. And you're going to make mistakes. You are going to make mistakes. But you keep making them, and they add up. Here's a tip. Somebody once said, a wise man learns from his mistakes. That's stupid. Okay, a smart man learns from his mistakes, but not a wise man. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. You don't have to get hit by a car to know that getting hit by a car will hurt you. And if you're a parent and you're saying, well, my kids have to make mistakes, you're horrible. You see, yeah, your kids are going to make mistakes, but your job is to try to make it so that they don't. So like when your kid is accosted late at night by some guy he doesn't know, he doesn't throw a punch at the guy. It's not that you did something horrible, but raise your kids up. Don't let your mistakes be given to your next generation because you feel guilty about it. Well, I used to smoke pot, so you can smoke pot. You got to be slapped. We're raising a generation of idiots. And it's not their fault. You got to stop telling your kids you have to learn on your own. And you got to start saying, look, man, I made mistakes. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let you make them too. You see, I made mistakes. But I made them so you don't have to. See, I messed up. I messed up. Boy, did I mess up. But I'm not going to let you just because, hey, you're young. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do everything to show you that when I make a stupid mistake, I'm going to show you how to come back. I'm going to show you how to be a success story. So we need to stop all this foolishness. Let the kids make mistakes, you know, everybody. They're going to make them no matter what you do. But if you made them, and your grandmother made them, and your kids made them, and all that shows me is that your kids had dummies for parents and grandparents. Learn from the mistakes of others. You don't have to learn on your own. And parents, would you jump out of an airplane without a parachute? Just like, whee! Ooh, look, I'm flying! Yay! No. Why? Why wouldn't you do that? Because eventually the ride stops and you hit the ground. Now, you've never done that before. As a matter of fact, you probably don't know anybody who's ever done that. But we know that gravity works this way. And so we don't have to make those mistakes. Okay? Thanks a lot.